Hello, everybody. Welcome to Squad Ops Operation Rook, our session 1 on Saturday. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday afternoon. We're setting up here, getting all the players loaded into the server. This is a Russia versus US operation. Now, we'll go more into the details of the operation in a second here. My name is Karmakut. I'm the founder and director of Squad Ops, and helping me with the cameras and the multi-stream perspective is Penn, our man. With the magic behind the scenes. He's going to be helping me today, switching through the multicam. We can go through and kind of show you what that looks like and send it over to a couple of the cams and give you an idea of how our official streams work. We have the original overview camera, which I will be flying and commentating from, but we also are pulling streams from multiple other individuals who are participating in the event. So you'll get multiple perspectives and you'll be able to see the battle and the operation of Squad Ops Operation Rook unfold in many different perspectives. Squad Ops is a one life event for the game Squad, and we focus on immersive, tactical, and teamwork related operations. You can find out more about Squad Ops at squadops.gg. As we can see here, all the players are loading in. We're going to be in the admin cam on my screen for the majority of the time. If you look at the top right of your screen, you can see whose camera you are watching. Right now, it should be saying Karmakut. But as we swap around, as we just showcase the cameras, you'll see the other names pop up of those cameras. This is going to be a mechanized infantry versus U.S. FOB operation. We can go over a couple of the assets here right now. We have a cool little screen to show you that's created by the Squad Ops content creation team. So right here, you can see the overview of the operation, including the assets from how many lat kits to how many medics each team gets to how many armor pieces and vehicles each team gets. So as we can see here, US has 2 logistical trucks they'll be using to supply and build their FOB, and the militia will have 2 MTLBs, 1 transport, and 1 logi. So if we look over here at this second page, you'll get more of an idea of what the exact operation is. US is strong pointed in a castle on the eastern side of Narva, and they're tasked with defending that FOB for the duration of the operation. Russia has to eliminate the FOB and attack it from the south, where they'll be starting from Russia main. They have a secondary objective to rescue that logi, which is in the center of that map. If they do so, they will have the capabilities of using mortars on the assault. So that is the current operation for today. You saw the assets, you saw the objective. Both teams now are setting up, where they're getting ready to do their briefings. At Squad Ops, you only have 1 life. The second you go down, you must respawn. So it's incredibly important that everyone knows the plan before the operation begins, so that everyone is clear on what they need to do. You can see here that the squad leaders are pulling their squad mates together. Everyone's getting ready for the briefing. Both teams have commanders. We have commanders within Squad Ops that kind of organize and give the team direction. And before every operation, we have the briefings to get everyone on board. As you can see, you're spectating right now CMYK Matter, who is one of the commanders for this operation. He will be leading the Russian forces against the U.S. team. So if we take a look here, we'll go through who is commanding and who is squad leading for this operation. For the Russians, we have Neural, Swine, Sightless, and Silas squad leading for the Russians. And CMYK, as I said before, is commanding for the Russians. On the U.S. side of things, we have Shadowed Ritual, Blub, Digit, Merrick, and Best Pony commanding for the Americans. So we'll go ahead and zip on over to the American side of things and the castle that they are tasked with defending. And as we can see here, they're tasked with defending this eastern castle. U.S. teams are getting set, and they're getting their squad leaders and squads all organized. Yeah, we'll be kicking it off with the briefings here momentarily.
Thereafter, use the far northern edge of the map.
I do believe Russia's actually starting their briefing, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can listen in on what they plan to do.
All right, so everyone, understands it all.
We are going to send the capable Sightless's squad number 3, up to the north. They are going to position themselves with the MTLB on that BTR marker. They're going to position the MTLB there. The rest of you guys are going to be taking up positions in the building. Listen to your squad lead. He'll get you into a good position. you are going to be providing a little bit of suppressive fire to get their attention. The other squads, let me see, the squad numbers got switched around. Give me 1 sec.
No pressure.
All right, so the capable squad 1, Neural Squad, is going to mount up in our MTLB that we have here on the south side. The capable squad 2, which is Swine Squad, I believe that is you, yep. Swine Squad is going to be mounting up with them in that MTLB. We are going to do a large swing around the outside, following the outside road to the west. If you watch...
Hello?
Old comms. Old comms.
It's fine, guys. Anyway. So, we're going to swing the whole way around the outside, and we are going to eventually end up on the north side of the castle. We are going to dismount at a location that I'm about to mark with an enemy helmet mark. If it'll actually work.
You need me to mark?
Anyway, here we go. There we go. So, friendly fob mark. We're going to dismount there. Also, Squad 4, which is, I believe that is, my bad, Silas's squad, yeah. Silas's squad is going to mount up in the transport truck. They're going to come with us as well around that big outside swing. We're all going to dismount up there, and we are going to clear village from the north. The northern village, we need to attack that, clear it. We are going to put in from the north. As we get close to the assault position, Sightless's squad on the south is going to start providing heavy cover fire, and they are going to start advancing. The MTLB is going to provide cover fire from the north. The other MTLB is going to provide cover fire from the south, and we are all going to push on Herman Castle in a north-south pincer assault. We are not touching the Logi at all. Forget about the Logi. It is not your friend. We're going to leave it alone. We're going to go around, destroy all the Americans, and then we're going to pick that thing up after. Everybody understand?
Yep.
Right.
All right, cool. All right. Scott Leeds, go ahead and get them broken out. Sorry for the messed up mic shit. That was my bad. Woo!
Good job,
No
man.
worries.
It's right now.
All right. So as we can see now, the the Russians have their plan. They are going to pincer the castle from the north and the south simultaneously. One of the assets they will be using in the assault is the MTLB. The MTLB is an APC carrier, and it is able to fit about 19 soldiers in it. It's got decent armor and a decent weapon attached to it. It's mainly used for transport and light fire support. This thing cannot go toe-to-toe with much else. It'll take 2 lat hits from American rockets to disable the to disable the MTLB. As you'll see right here, we'll pull up some in-game stats on the MTLB, and you guys will be able to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you guys have your lat ready to jump out if need be for the MTLB if we run into it. Or not the MTLB, the fucking Logi trucks.
All right, both teams are ready. They have completed both their briefings, and we're going to be setting live here pretty soon as both teams determine a live time. Yeah, pretty exciting things. We'll see how this pincer attack goes for Russian. We'll zoom on over here to the fortress, and you'll be able to see kind of the avenues attack and what kind of terrain it's going to look like. Right now you're watching Shadow Ritual, who's on the US, and they're getting all set up. They've done their briefing. They've set their squads in the proper locations, and everyone's waiting here for live. Once again, this is a Squad Ops One Life operation. You can learn more about Squad Ops at squadops.gg. And my name is Karmakut. I'm the director and founder of Squad Ops. We host open events, training, and public servers for anyone who wants to get in on them. So check out squadops.gg for more information.
The wall, unless it's blocked off, then take the stairway.
So these are the 2 logistical trucks that the U.S. will get to use to build up their FOB. They'll be running supply runs from this compound to main and back. And if they're able to get enough runs in, US can really build up the defenses. We now have a live time, which is 1:41. That's live in 40 seconds. So in about 40 seconds here, both teams will be weapons free. Vehicles will be allowed to move, and the teams will start to roll out on their plans. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of defense the US plans on making. It does look like they plan on doing logi runs. They have almost a full squad here running the logis. So we'll see how many runs they can end up getting in. Otherwise, as you can see, there's a nice moat that surrounds the castle, pretty much eliminating any assault from the west. A river on the east, making the east a really hard approach as well. So north and south are pretty much the only ways you can approach the castle. The north providing the most cover with that rocks and that village. The south being a little bit more open with a moat. However, there are buildings on the west that the Russians can use to suppress the castle if they so choose, as those second and third story buildings provide a lot of sight. Americans now pushing off. Looks like they're going to put an infantry squad in the north village to kind of screen that area, as they do have great lines of sight to the south and the west with that moat and lower ground. The logis as well pushing off to main, getting those supplies. We're going to zip on over back to Russia and see how their initial push is looking.
You'll catch up. The MTLB slow.
So as we can see, these MTLB gunner and drivers pushing out now on the west side of the map. We also have one on the south side setting up for that south base of fire and support.
Direct access to that castle's fire sites.
So XF is part of this south team. His squad will be watching the south end of the castle and trying to put on suppressive fire on the target from the south. However, it does look like US has spotted or heard the MTLB, and they're moving to either flank it from the west or start putting on fire from the parapets. We can see here now Russian infantry pushing through the south town, getting into a defensive position and a position from which they can engage the castle. Let's take a look if any US has actually spotted these guys.
That's why you had the circle holes in it. It might protect us.
Stay well west of US.
It does not look like the US is aware of that south team. They might have heard the MTLB, but they don't have eyes on it yet. There is a US fire team in this southwest building. This building is pretty pivotal. As you can see, it has a lot of line of sight in almost every direction. So if the Russians try to push south to north across that moat, they're going to get crossfired by this fire team in this building, as well as the people on the parapets. We see these logis returning from main with full supplies. They'll be dumping here soon. And we'll see what kind of defense Best Pony decides to build.
Are we free to engage the logi if we cross the bridge and see that direction? Actually, I'm going to get that DC. Yes.
Sandbags already going down here for the US. Looks like they're going to start reinforcing the entrances, which is a good choice. And yeah, it mainly looks like this South Russian squad is going to hold tight until the north does that wraparound flank. That will be quite a while, so they're going to be pretty much hardened up for a good amount of time here. We're going back to Matter, who once again is Russian command. He's in the MTLB on the west side of the map. And once again, their plan is to loop far around the west and the north side of the map, coming down on the castle north to south. However, the US, excuse me, he's in the transport truck. However, the US does have an infantry squad on that objective where they plan on dismounting. You can see now these vehicles fully loaded with infantry are going to wrap around the map. Looking at the map here, this logi might hear these vehicles. This logi is swooping in well within audio, but his engine might be too loud to hear that northern vehicle push. So we'll see if that driver made that call out or if his engine was too loud. Taking a look at the map here, we're going to zoom all the way out. We can see those logis from US are using that safe side road on the north side of the MSR that runs northwest to southeast through the map. And you can see Squad 3 from the US is entrenched in those northern compounds. So we'll see if Russia does a good job pushing the compound on that north. Squad 3 from Russia set up on that south, waiting until the northern two vehicles reach their location. Shots fired here from the south. It looks like that South Russian squad is engaging the castle. There's MTLB fire suppressing targets and windows. Best Pony, the commander of the US team, almost gets taken out, but he's now behind some cover. And the U.S. now has a 50 cal bunker also set up on this south. So this could do some major damage. It's in a very good location here. RPG's going out. Excuse me, that was a law shot. Trying to hit a MTLB in that village.
Do you have a good visual on that vehicle?
50 cal setup, starting to send rounds south into the town. I'm not sure if he actually sees, but he's engaging in putting some shots onto what he suspects would be enemy positions.
Not say to open fire. In fact, I specifically said not to open fire.
And that's just the South Russian squad drawing attention and pressure to the south, trying to let that northern squad get in a little closer. As we can see, Logi's still making those runs. There's going to be a lot of defenses here. Looks like the U.S. does plan on putting a mortar pit up, so we will most likely see mortar rounds further into this round as they get someone to man that mortar. It does look like the U.S. has some scouts up here in the north. They're going to see this MTLB, and this northern flank is going to get spotted. So we'll see how the U.S. reacts to this information, seeing not only one vehicle, but the MTLB and the trans rolling up on this position. This could be very deadly right here. We have 2 U.S. soldiers here, and they're about to dismount in front of these troops. This could be very deadly. 1 frag grenade, and that's an entire squad.
All right, 1 and 2. You are going to push off to the west and clear down.
No one's pulling their frags.
You are going to push off to the west and clear down through village. 4, you are going to start pushing southward.
This is when you would use your frag grenades. They need to be using their grenades. And this is just one of those moments where you have to remember the tools that you have in your arsenal. And remember to use those. 1 grenade goes out. This could be devastating.
MTLB, get yourself in position.
Only 1 player goes down. Nacho gets hit with the fragmentation. He's bleeding. So is the neural. These 2 U.S. troops are going to try to pull off the hill.
3, start up that fire if you could.
And it looks like they will be able to make it out unless those infantry on the right-hand side of that hill can spot these guys. But these guys are going to pull out pretty successfully. That was really close for both teams. If the U.S. had pulled frags earlier, that could have been some massive casualties on their side.
Hold fire, hold fire, hold fire. All right, you fucking killed the gunner. Good work.
XF on the south now. Both Russian teams are engaged. South team is engaging the castle, and the north team is engaging the entrenched U.S. infantry in the town.
Back up, 1. Alright, 2, 4, start maneuvering south. I know it's going to be rough. We need to get through. We can't stop here. They're going to reply with mortars.
As we can see here, squad... who is this? Squad 3 from the Americans is doing a great job of holding off 2 times Russian infantry squads, plus the MTLB, slowing down this assault. Best Pony has his mortar up, but he has not fired a round yet. We're going to see what happens. The south doesn't seem to be pushing from the Russians either. So Best Pony's weakest side is going to be the north, where both infantry squads plus the MTLB will be coming down north to south. His 3rd squad is now entrenched within the town. They've pulled off the initial hills to the north, and they're now going to hardpoint this area. We can see CMYK Matter abusing the terrain, making sure that he's using the path of least resistance, which right now is this kind of road on the side of the river. He's using this defilade to get close into the castle, because the castle does not have line of sight into this little draw. As we can see, Matter's done a great job of splitting up his team. He's got 1 squad pushing north to south on the direct onto the town, and then he has the MTLB plus a supporting infantry squad pushing along the river.
Shots on it now.
He's doing a great job of spraying out his forces, keeping that momentum up. We talk about momentum a lot when we play squad up, simply because you can really see how important it is to keep that pressure up, keep pushing, and keep it consistent. Because the second you let up, you lose that momentum, and you can get pushed back fairly easily. That MTLB in the north now set up, has eyes on the castle, engaging and suppressing targets. Both MTLBs from the north and south now in a good position. CMYK Matter, the Russian commander, is now down. So Russian is now without command. Squad leaders will now have to fill that command role and figure out what to do next.
Just say command is down.
I don't know. That was definitely down.
This northern squad from Russia getting really pinned down. You see them popping smokes, trying to break line of sight and try to get in closer to engage the U.S. forces within the town. This this easternmost element with the MTLB trading shots with the tower. But they're getting tagged up by the 50 cal that's in placed on the roof. We'll see if either one goes down. MTLB is taking a lot of 50 cal fire, and both teams on this north are now pinned from the castle and this squad on the north. The Russian squad on the south does not have too much pressure being put on it right now. But as I said before, as we highlighted this terrain, it is extremely dangerous to cross the south. There's an open field. You have enemy cover from the west and north with elevation. It's going to be extremely hard to push this south. However, it looks like that northern push from the Russians is drawing a lot of eyes up there. There's only one, maybe two people watching this southwest, and this draw that the Russians are using right now in the southeast might be enough to get them within engagement range with their rifles. There are not enough eyes. We talk about 360-degree security all the time at Squad Ops and why it's so important. This is one of the reasons why it is so important. If you leave one flank over, if you leave one sector over, you can really leave an opportunity for the enemy to exploit that. And the Russians are doing a great job of that now, using the distraction to the north of both their squads and allowing this gap in the south, slowly bounding up by fire team to try to get inside the castle. We're going to zoom back over here to the north and take a look at how this engagement is going. Both Russian squads still taking it slow. There's one American actually extremely close to this fire team on the east. Russians trying to push in from the north. That draw is allowing them to get in pretty close while breaking line of sight from the castle. But there is a U.S. soldier over here who could cause a lot of damage. But it does look like he's been spotted. They're trading shots back and forth. He might go down right here. Russians clean up that kill. They now have pretty much full control over the eastern side with the river. And this northern squad still trying to find an avenue into the town. You can see these roads are creating a massive barrier. But they're slowly smoking and pushing forward. Methodical, consistent aggression is what is needed from that North Russian team right now. We can see U.S. Logi still running back and forth.
Oh, you wanted?
We're on the southeast entrance now. U.S. finally has comms that they are getting pushed from the southeast. They've realized that they left that south gap open. Russians now have a semi-foothold on this south side of the castle, and they're going to try to push in using grenades and small arms fire. This South Russian squad making great progress with that distraction to the north. We'll see if U.S. is able to adjust in time to handle this attack on the south. We almost have a full Russian squad here within 100 meters on the south side of the castle. MTLB support pushing up from the south as well. We'll see if he's able to get eyes on and suppress the parapets. That's the main danger right now for the southern squad, is the high ground that they are advancing towards. That high ground is going to be extremely deadly. XF on the south here in the MTLB. He's going to see if he can put down suppressive fire for his infantry in front. Callouts going to the driver. Let's see if XF putting fire on those parapets, suppressing that target, allowing the infantry to get in closer. It's incredibly important in squad ops and within other tactical games to get that suppression on target, to put rounds down range, even if you're not sure if you're going to hit them. That fear and that suppression relieves a lot of pressure from yourself and your teammates for you to get stuff done, whether it be moving, firing, or capturing objectives. Putting suppressive fire on targets allows you to make certain calls and gives you that freedom to do what you need to do. This this eastern squad has pushed up pretty far now. They're on the close northeast side of the castle. We can see U.S. Squad 3 pulling back into the castle, completely conceding that northern village to the Russians, and we'll see if that gives Russia enough freedom to push into their positions where they want to be before they breach. However, no mortars yet from either team. Russia's decided to forgo the Logi truck and set up that mortar fob, but U.S. still has not fired a single mortar, and I really feel like that is something that they need to be using, something that they need to be utilizing to deter enemy push from the north and south. On the south side of the castle, Russians trying to figure out how they want to breach, but there is a saw locking down that southeast corner. You can hear that going on right now. That amount of firepower and that amount of rounds is really deterring the Russians from pushing in. Right now, you'd want to use frags and grenades. Once again, we talk about those tools that every infantryman has to use properly and to allow them to breach certain areas. You need to use those tools. You need to be able to use your smokes, grenades, your GLs, your laws. You need to be able to think outside the box with those tools to allow you certain avenues of advance. We heard a couple mortars rounds go out from the U.S. It looks like they're deciding to mortar the south end of the castle. We'll see if these rounds land anywhere close. These rounds land extremely close to the MTLB, landing on top of the MTLB. MTLB takes 2 mortar rounds. It is on fire. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to destroy it, but it is going to be able to push off from the position it previously was at. It might even explode here. Both crew members abandoning the vehicle. This might be it for the MTLB. We'll see here, but excellent mortar rounds from the U.S. using that indirect fire to really push off that MTLB and relieve that pressure on the south. Now, these Russians on the south, without MTLB support, are going to get really pinned down here, especially as we talked about from before, that high ground. These parapets on the south and that high ground on the north is really going to make breaching these ruins on the south extremely difficult. Still no progress on that south from the Russians. U.S. doing an amazing job using mortars. More mortars coming out. We'll see where these land. If these are able to take out the MTLB, I don't think so. We can see that MTLB moving completely off from that eastern side to the western side. So that's an extremely mobile MTLB. But if these rounds are landing anywhere near that south entrance, if he's zeroed for 50 meters, this could be devastating to the south infantry. But we'll see where these mortars land. These mortars are landing on the south. One Russian player goes down on the mortars. Danger close mortars on the south, doing exactly what they need to be doing right now, which is hitting over this this wall, which is creating a line of sight barrier for the U.S. using indirect fire to great effect. This South Russian team now in a great amount of trouble. No MTLB support. They're getting mortared. They have a saw locking down their position, and they are pretty much going to be fixed there until they can get relief from the other squads. As we can see here, this Eastern squad and Eastern MTLB still making a lot of progress. They are now on the direct east of the objective within 100 meters. MTLB putting suppressive fire on the tower, but we'll see how much closer these northern squads can get. We see that relief in pressure. We see that break in the momentum. Now that command is down from Russia command, it's a lot harder to get squads to move. There's no single point of direction unless the squad leader steps up and takes that direction. But we'll see how close these northern squads can get. We talked about roads before and how much of a barrier they do pose. This long stretch of land, also called a what's going on over here? The road is cutting off that northern squad extremely. So you can see the Russians are really hesitating to cross this road with zero cover for about 50 meters. There's no cover from the north to south side of this road. And there are U.S. in the high ground and the parapets watching and waiting for their opportunity to strike. We can see this Russian squad on the south still being locked down. They're getting whittled down here by mortars, grenades, and saws. They are really in a bad position. MTLB is choosing to poke out again. Puts fire on that 50 cal bunker on the hill. And we can see U.S. is just waiting. They are set and ready for the Russians to try to breach this. We talked about the saw before and how it's used within squad and how that amount of firepower should be utilized, and this is a perfect place and opportunity for the saw. As we can see here, just now laying down fire. Even if he doesn't have a confirmed target, he knows they're over there, and that suppression will stop Russians from advancing. And U.S. now in a very, very precarious, Russia's now in a very, very precarious position. We talked about this fire team earlier and how they would have a crossfire on the Russians if they cross from the south, and that is exactly what we are seeing now. We're seeing Russians trying to cross this south moat, but we have a saw up here. We have a fire team that is looking northeast. This MTLB actually extremely close, but is not aware of the fire team to its southwest.
We're gonna try and recruit it. We're just gonna try and get in.
Fob now, picking guys.
I don't know, man. That's a big asset. So copy.
Russia's, it seems like Russia's plan now is to kind of get a perimeter. We see RPGs hitting the target. We see that the Russians' main objective now, or main strategy, is to get superior positioning with the MTLBs and with these rocks and attempt to pick players off the roofs. RPG goes out from the U.S., attempts to land on the MTLB in the northwest, misses, does not connect, but this MTLB will be forced to move a little bit back, as he's a little bit scared now that he's been sighted by an anti-tank soldier. But yeah, we can see now Russia really trying to figure out how they want to breach this. Without mortar support, they do not have the tools to really dismantle the defenses. More mortars coming out from U.S. We'll see where those land. Those look like they're directed at the MTLB. We'll see if U.S. can get a little lucky again and land rounds directly on top of the MTLB. We will sit here and see where these rounds land. Excellent mortars again by the U.S. One round lands right onto the MTLB. This MTLB is going to be forced to be pushed off here. And excellent use. RPG does not connect. But yeah, that MTLB is now forced to relocate as it's been zeroed by the mortars. Excellent firing by the U.S. mortar team, using their mortars to counter the MTLB's base of fire positions and abusing that range and that indirect fire capability. We can see now Russia formulating a new plan. They're going to have a team up here on the North Rocks, suppressing the targets with this high ground, going toe-to-toe with the Americans on the parapets, and a Russian team sneaking in underneath the supporting fire, trying to breach. We'll see how successful there is. There's sandbags. There's infantry watching the stairs. It's going to be extremely difficult to breach that staircase. We have more U.S. mortars going out. We'll see where these land. These might be landing on the Northern Rocks. We'll see here in a second where these land. These are landing on the Northern Rocks. Once again, Russian casualty to the mortar. Excellent mortar rounds, using that indirect fire to their advantage, pushing the Russians off where they're getting comfortable. You need to be able to use those tools. I talked about them before. It's not just a rifle. It's not just gun skill. Use your grenades. Use the mortars. Use the law. Use the grenadier. Use the MTLBs. Use your smokes. Use everything you can to get the job done. We see frag grenades trading in between this little staircase. Frag goes out, catch one Russian player. They're trying to smoke and breach. Excellent use of the smokes to break the line of sight from the U.S. And a successful breach here by the Russians. They are pushing in with aggression. You can see that aggression right now as they breach. It's important to get that ground, get that foothold, and continue pushing. You cannot get stuck at this entrance. We'll see how well they're able to breach this. But smokes going out, doing an excellent job of concealing their movement and their push. We see that aggression. They're flooding into the compound. More mortars taking out that northern side. We can see a lot of the Russians that were on that support by fire position are now eliminated because of the mortars. Russians now pushing in, using that smoke. They need to continue using that pressure, especially while that smoke is still active. They only get a limited amount of smokes, and if they get caught in the open here with these smokes, as these smokes disappear, it's going to be extremely harder to be pushing anywhere further into the compound. So we'll see if they're able to exploit the duration of these smokes, or if they're going to end up getting stuck on the northern side of the map. Russians now breaching. You can see that aggression and that flow of troops is really doing a number on the U.S. They can't see. They're in angles that are not being covered. And Russia is now doing a great job of pushing into the compound. We'll see how well they can keep this up, though. Russians trying to breach the the lower part of the compound. Now, we talk a lot about combat spacing. Right now, frag grenade goes out. Is this spacing enough? It is. But you must be aware of your battle space. We talk about battle space a lot in Squad Ops as well. It's incredibly important to be mindful of the space between yourself and others around you. Simply because if grenades are coming at you, you cannot get stuck on each other. You cannot allow that grenade to get more than 2-3 people on your squad or your fire team. That would do devastating amount of damage. If the Russians have any great grenades right now, it would be a perfect time to lob them over this hill and attempt to get these Americans on the other side. Russian momentum on this north has been stopped. There's a good amount of bunkers and cover here for U.S. to kind of stop them on this north. We talked about that smoke dissipating before and how Russians would get stuck. As you can see now, the picture looks a lot different when there is no smoke. There's a lot of line of sight. There's a lot of areas that U.S. can cover from. You need to abuse that smoke while it's active. Russians trying to crawl along the north here and on the sides. Russians trying to breach from all sides right now, and it might work and might be able to catch a lot of the U.S. unawares. Shadowed Ritual does go down. He is the who is he? What's he doing? He's squad leader, right? Yep. Shadowed Ritual goes down as a squad leader. The MTLB on the south is still up, but remember it took 2 mortar rounds, so it is massively damaged.
Hesco.
Let's fucking roll up on the bridge.
We'll see if this MTLB can move into any position to assist the Russian assault. Doesn't look like there are any Americans except for those two on the south outside the compound. Most of the U.S. are now embedded within the compound itself and are holding a close defense. We see RPGs going out. Actually manages to get, I think that's Best Pony. That we talk about combat spacing. This is why you need combat spacing. You cannot lose 3 guys to 1 grenade. You need to be mindful of the space between yourself and others. That right there gave that one situation gave Russia the momentum they need to take this entire top compound. That's all the U.S. defense in this in the upper compound. That one grenade was able to turn the tide of this entire top battle, and Russia really has a real chance of taking this game back and winning this round. Pushing in, using their tools. Russia's doing an amazing job right now. We'll see if they can keep it up.
On the stairs. On the stairs.
These buildings on the south, however, really proving to be an obstacle for Russia to push in.
Alright, we're gonna be losing the west. Everyone help, try to look at the bridge.
They're pushing in on the north.
Yeah, we lost. Let's go around this. We can put 3.
Things are slowing down here as players are getting whittled out, but we do see that aggression still remaining from Russia. Look at how they push in, even though they know that the numbers are low. They're trying to maintain that pressure, because because as you apply more and more pressure, you limit the ability of the enemy team to think. And right now, the Russians are doing a great amount of pressure on the western side, as well as digging up the enemy fob, which is the objective of this operation. So Russia is working on taking out their main primary objective, which is the enemy radio. And they might be able to do that with the pressure on the west as well.
Careful, there was a Russian right over there.
However, that U.S. squad that was outside the compound now picking off Russians on the who are stuck on the outside wall. And these 2 Russian soldiers might be going down here momentarily. They're doing a good job of fighting back, but it does look like we are now down to 4v7, maybe 4v8. Russia is still trying to breach. They're dealing with contacts outside of the compound as well as contacts within. These 2 soldiers right here are pinned in between 2 enemy elements, and you can really start to see them kind of panic with that pressure being put on them. U.S. really strong pointing these single compounds, these single buildings within the compound, but Russia doing a great job keeping that momentum up, keeping that pressure up and pushing in and further. And we can see now they're one by one securing these buildings. If things keep going this way, Russia will be able to pull this match back and be able to eliminate all the U.S. Frag grenades were being used to great effect. We'll see if these remaining soldiers are able to hold the compound, or if Russia's able to take them out one by one. A lot of small one-on-one skirmishes going right now. Russians still maintaining that pressure, keeping up that pressure. You can see that pressure is extremely important. Using that aggression to their advantage. All the U.S. soldiers in the compound have now been killed. Russia now has full control over the compound. The only players left alive are the 2 on the west, across from the moat. So we'll see if Russia is able to hold and complete their objective with their team alive, or if these 2 U.S. soldiers are able to swing back and recapture the compound. However, it does look they've already been spotted. Things are looking really good for Russia. We saw that key grenade go off on the upper side of the compound, really turning the tide for Russia. And now these 2 U.S. soldiers are all that remains of the U.S. team.
On the south side.
No. They're not gonna know which way we're going. Alright, I'm covering the bridge and I'm covering that side. We're gonna use that.
We'll see what happens. But they're pretty pinned here. That squad leader up on the parapet does have them sighted, and he's waiting for an opportunity to engage. That is squad leader Silas for the Russians right now, who has eyes on. We'll see how much you can see here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find you.
I'm on the stairs over there.
Oh, he's going to have an opportunity here in a second. He's got to remain vigilant. He's got to remain vigilant.
Guys, cross this bridge.
There he goes. That's one U.S. soldier dead. So something, if you really pay attention to the details of the... Oh, and that's it. That's it. That's game. Russia was able to pull back a win with great pressure. You could say that aggression really working out on the north and on the west side of the compound, keeping the U.S. on their toes. Those grenades, those smokes breaching the compound did an excellent job of blocking the line of sight, allowing the Russians to breach, and then grenades mopping up U.S. infantry that was not aware of their combat spacing. But great job from Russia to pull that back. It was looking pretty dire for them there, but great work on both teams. U.S. using mortars to great effect both on enemy support by fire positions and on the enemy armor. And the Russians doing a great job of using smokes and frags to get into the compound and hold it. That was round 1 of SquadOps.gg's Operation Rook, a one-life event. If you'd like to learn more about Squad Ops, check out SquadOps.gg. We'll be right back after a short intermission with round 2. Where we'll be watching the opposite team on this side. So we'll be spectating Best Pony and his squad leaders on the Russian attack. But we'll be right back after a short intermission. My name is Karmakut. I'm the founder and director of Squad Ops. Thank you so much for joining us for round 1. We'll be jumping into round 2 in a couple minutes here. We'll play some trailers for you and some things in the intermission. But until then, just sit tight, go use the bathroom, go get some food. We'll be right back with round 2.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out to SOTT Basic. I'm your instructor today, Hammering Hutch. You guys can simply just call me Hutch. When we are suppressing an enemy target, the whole intent of this is to keep the enemy's head down so an adjacent unit can maneuver onto them. During this process, we have a thing that happens automatically and organically, whether it be with buddy teams or fire teams. The whole intent is to ensure there's no lull in the gunfire, thus talking guns. Open fire. Contact front. Alpha, bound. I'm up. He sees me. I'm down. Bravo, bound. I'm up. He sees me. I'm down. All right, Bravo set. Alpha up. He sees me. I'm down. You're now in what is known as a file. You're now in what is known as a staggered column, and usually used when on patrol or when moving from one location to another where contact is imminent. And these are a few of the basic formations that we use during Squad Ops. The SOTT Advanced Weapons Systems course was created to ensure Squad Ops participants share the same knowledge and understanding of the use and applications of mission-specific weapons and the basic tactics involved in their deployment. The Automatic Rifleman. The Automatic Rifleman is the foundation of a fire team and/or squad. The job of the Automatic Rifleman is to deliver a high volume of prolonged, effective suppressing fire on enemy positions to allow the maneuver of friendly units during offensive operations and the repelling of enemy attacks in defensive operations. The Grenadier, a key member of the fire team and squad. The Grenadier is first and foremost a rifleman who is capable of delivering accurate fire of both high explosive and smoke rounds on point and area targets at varying distances. One of the other added benefits of the Grenadier is to engage dead space, which is essentially an area that cannot be hit by direct fires. The Light Anti-Tank Gunner. soldiers carrying light anti-tank weapons are, just as grenadiers, riflemen first. They are the ideal infantry-based counter to both lightly armored and thin-skinned vehicles. At short, medium, and far distances, the rockets fired are a viable weapon against groups of infantry as well. The SOTT Advanced Weapons Systems course, although not a requirement, is highly encouraged for squad ops participants to join to expand their knowledge of how to utilize the tools that are given to us within squad.
Welcome back. We're getting ready for round 2 of Squad Ops Operation Rook, a One Life event hosted by SquadOps.gg. If you would like to learn more about SquadOps.gg and our One Life events or our training, head over to SquadOps.gg to find out more information. My name is Karmakut. I'll be your host for today, and I'm the founder and leader of, founder and director of Squad Ops. Joining me behind the scenes is Penn, and he's going to be running the camera, the multi-camera that we're going to be doing here. And if you're looking to win a copy of Squad, you can head over to twitch.tv/SquadOps, where we give away 1 squad key every month. So go ahead and check out those links. We're starting round 2 here momentarily. We've got both teams now switching sides. We'll be spectating. We'll go through the teams real fast here, actually. We're going to be spectating Digit, Shadow Ritual, Blub, and Merrick squad leading for the Russians now, and Best Pony commanding for the Russians. So these squad leaders and command were originally on the US the previous match, but we do 2 rounds every event, so both teams get to play either side. And right now we'll be spectating the opposite team's command. So we'll be spectating the Russians again, but with a different command structure. On the opposite team, the US now, we have Sightless squad leading, Silas, Swine, and Nacho, with CMYK Matter commanding for the Americans now. So we'll run through the assets again. If we're gonna be pulling up a small little graphic here that you guys can see. So this was made by our content creation team. But as you can see here, you can see the assets that both teams get to use in this operation. Everything from the LATs to the SAWs to the ARs to the medics to the vehicles. As you can see, the US gets 2 logistical trucks to supply and man their FOB and build with, and the Russians get 2 MTLBs, 1 trans, and 1 Logi. And if they retrieve that Logi, they're able to use it to build a mortar FOB. As we switch to the second slide here, you can see the objective. The objective of this operation is for the Americans to defend the castle on the eastern side of the map, and for the Russians to assault and take the castle. There is a secondary objective for Russia if they so choose, which is to recover the Logi truck in the center of town. If they do so successfully, they're able to use that Logi to create a mortar FOB to use on their assault. Like I said before, Russia gets to use 2 MTLBs, and we're going to pull up the stats here for that vehicle. This vehicle used in round 1 to great effect for fire support and for transport. You can see now that they have 19 slots. It's great for fire support and for maneuvering, but it does not go toe-to-toe with BTRs or strikers. This is a very light skinned vehicle used for very light fire support and transport.
100 meters worth of space to spread your whole line out. So we're really going to end up
the mortars from first round from the US was used to great effect, actually, to counter the MTLBs. We'll see if CMYK Matter decides to employ mortars against the Russians and use them in the same effect.
Wait, Wonder's right over there.
As always, in every Squad Ops match, we have commands and briefings that happen before every single event so that both teams know the operation and the rules and the plan for that event. Right now, we're going through, their squad leaders are organizing everybody, and we've got both teams now setting to do their command briefs. But yeah, we're going to see what kind of different plan Best Pony decides to use against CMYK Matter. CMYK Matter opted for a pincher on the north and south, using the MTLBs to cover as infantry pushed up, and it kind of evolved, as you can see, into a northern breach, which I think was a great decision. We'll zoom over here to the US objective, the castle, and we'll kind of analyze what happened in that previous round.
we clear the buildings, we get the
So a
trophy.
Russian squad was placed in the south and in the north, but as you can see, as we analyze the kind of area that we're at, you can see that attacking the castle from anywhere but the north or the east is extremely dangerous. There's a small moat as well as lots of open ground that you need to cover with your infantry if you're going to try to push from those sides. However, from the north and the east, the north has high ground that is able to challenge the towers.
We're gonna mortar them for 20 minutes.
So these northern rocks actually are able to go toe to toe with the Americans on the point, and then this far eastern side has the depression and has that defilade to where you can advance unseen. So north and east are pretty much the power points for this objective. As you can see, the south and this west extremely open, large open areas, large open lake, and then a road on the west that really cuts up the side. We're going to skip over here to the U.S. briefing and listen in on what they have planned.
You're going to be commanding the LAT team. You, as well as Squad 2, are going to push off to the south of Bravo, where that machine gun mark is. You're going to take up buildings on the south side of Bravo, and you're going to hold there. You're going to stay low, and you're going to stay quiet. Harry, you have freedom of movement with the LAT team. If you hear the MTLBs, I want you to maneuver to disable them. Okay?
Sounds good.
2, you are going to be holding quiet on that position. Once we get word on where the enemy is attacking from, if they're taking south or north, we're going to maneuver you guys to be QRF. So we'll figure out where you go from there. Squad 1 is going to be taking care of fobbing up and running mortars on the top side of the castle. So upper castle is going to be Squad 1. Squad 3 is going to be taking care of fobbing up and staying on the lower side of castle. So that's going to be Squad 3. Squad 3 is also going to give up 2 of their riflemen to run lodge for us. Squad 4, you are going to push out to the southwest of the castle proper, and you are going to take positions around the Echo 4 6-6 area. So Echo 4-6, somewhere in that grid square. Take up position in those buildings, stay low, stay quiet, until we have confirmation that Boney isn't just rushing straight up the south. If he is rushing straight up the south, then you guys are going to act to foil his maneuver whenever he gets up close. But until then, you're going to stay low and you're going to stay quiet. Does everybody understand the plan?
Roger.
Yeah, copy that.
Very simple defense. Just hold your positions. Keep quiet if you're out there. Terry, you've got full control over that LAT crew, so you tell them to do what you want. Freedom of movement. If it gets passed down that you are going to have to maneuver back to castle because the MTLB is pushed hard, then so be it. But we're going to have 4 LATs in castle still, too, so we'll hopefully take them out. But otherwise, yeah. Oh, for my Logi drivers, for Logi guys, you are going to obviously start here at the main base. First run, I just want you to beeline it straight down the road, and then beeline it straight back. They shouldn't be able to make it up that fast. But then for your second runs, I want you to take it longer around the north. Don't do the full sweep up to the way north. Just take that northern road, and then push it down through village, and then come back in that way. Does everybody understand?
Which northern road am I taking on that?
Sorry, here I'll mark.
Yeah, mark it for me. Okay, that route. Gotcha.
Yep. And fob mark. Just push along.
Squad 1 on the left. Squad 4, or whatever isn't in the MTLBs on the right. Other squads in the middle, and the MTLBs themselves intermixed with you as infantry support. You will all clear the village being down. Then eventually you'll arrive out of it. You'll have, MTLBs help suppress squads intermingle. Our mortars will be continuing to pound their base unless I run out of ammo somehow, which is unlikely. And yeah, basically you guys will just destroy them completely. Like, you're going to have machine gun support from the MTLBs, you'll have mortar fire raining down on them. It is unlikely that they will survive. You're just going to storm right in both entrances, kill everyone inside the fob, and win the day. Make sense?
Yeah.
Copy. Play.
Holy fuck yeah. All hell pony.
So what's the Russian
Hoorah.
Yut.
Hoorah.
For motherland.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, so we can see that the Russian plan of attack this time is similar to the previous round. However, they are going to opt for that logistical truck to set a mortar fob and assist their assault. Best Pony's also opting to put his whole platoon on the north rather than attempting to blitz the south and the north at the same time in its pincer. So we'll see how this operation plan differs in execution and see how effective it's going to be against the American defense.
Did you lock your keys in the car again?
Uber?
Which squads are using the MTLBs? 1 and 4?
4 is manning the MTLBs. Everyone's riding in them though. I'm driving the front MTLB to the first objective.
Rip. Well, then it'll be a really short.
Get ponies.
Yo, get your gun off.
Wait!
Yes, geniuses.
We can see the squads now loading up into their vehicles. Everyone's getting mounted and ready. But yeah. For anyone joining late, this is round 2 of Squad Ops Operation Rook. We are now on the second round. This is a one-life event, meaning that when you go down, that is it. My name is Karmakut. I'm the founder and director at Squad Ops. I'm joined by Penn, who's behind the scene doing all the camera work and mixing the cameras together. Big shout out to him and thanks to him. We're going to be setting for ready here in a second here, and we're going to wait for a live. As you can see now, US is pushing their way to the objective. As soon as they get set at the castle, we should be ready to call for live here. Once again, the assets for both teams vehicle-wise. US gets 2 logistical trucks, which they can use to constantly supply their FOB, build sandbags, HESCOs, and mortars, and defend the castle. Russia gets 2 times MTLBs for fire support and transport, and we'll see how effective they can use those to suppress the target while their infantry moves in under the cover fire. Right now, you can see U.S. getting to the objective. Once both teams are set, both briefings have already been completed. So we're now just waiting for U.S. to make it to the objective, and then we're going to set for live. But yeah, some great footage from round 1. We had some amazing turns. Russia was able to pull it back after amazing smokes and frags to breach the compound. And we'll see what happens this round. There's a small difference in the Russian plan of attack this time. They're opting to go full on the north and grab the logistical truck to set up a mortar fob to support their assault as well. So U.S. now reaching their objective. We're going to be setting live here pretty soon. I can imagine we'd be live here within a minute. So everyone just hang on, get ready. Make sure you got your food, your snacks, your drinks. And we're gonna get set here for the second round of SquadOps.gg Operation Rook.
Yeah, that's crazy. NSB can aim wherever in real life. Oh boy.
The satellite fell off.
Yeah, hey, can we get some like road tunes up in here?
Someone bought a freestyle.
That'll be a nightmare trying to
All right.
Somebody.
So these 2 MTLBs will be loaded up with the entirety of the Russian team. We have 36 players in both MTLBs. These are the only 2 vehicles that Russia is taking. They are going to push fast and hard to the objective. And we'll see, this is a pretty risky plan here, putting all his eggs in one basket. But we'll see how effective Pony will be able to pull it off.
I could have come up with something better, but I don't know. I took over for Jack like last minute, so I didn't really thought it over yet. I was expecting just suddenly follow some orders.
Matt, are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready. All right, live at 144. Live at 144.
Which lives just disappeared.
All right, we have a live time set, 144. That means live is in within 50 seconds now. We'll be setting here to start within 50 seconds. Once again, we'll go over a couple of the assets and the objective and the briefing. Russia is going to get 2 times MTLBs, and they have to destroy the enemy FOB. They're planning to go for that secondary objective, which is their Logi, recover their Logi, set up a mortar farm, and use that mortar to assist them on their assault. U.S. defends the castle. They have 2 logistical trucks that they're using to ferry supplies back and forth and build up that fob. And we'll see how that Russian attack on the north is going to play out. There's going to be a full commitment from the entire Russian team, so he might be able to overwhelm that north with overwhelming fire support and numbers. But we'll see how well that plans out for him. We are live here now in 5 seconds. So as you can see here, we're going to be showing the operation assets and information right now, right before we get live here, while these teams move out. All right, and we're seeing both MTLBs from Russia now pushing out of main. They're going to be pushing fast. Another thing to note about the MTLB is they are extremely loud. They are extremely loud. Here, I'm above them maybe 300, 400 meters, and you can still hear those engines roaring. So we'll see if these engines give away the Russian plan before they get anywhere close to the city. So we'll see how effective this push will be with the entire platoon committed to the north if the U.S. can hear and expect that push. Once again, if you're looking to get into Squad, humblebundle.com is having a 40% sale off of Squad right now. So if you're looking to get into Squad, now is the perfect time. Also, squadops.gg gives away 1 Squad key a month, and you can enter that giveaway at twitch.tv/squadops. The giveaway link is posted every now and then, and that giveaway will be given away, obviously, at the end of the month, and your winners will be emailed. So if you're looking to buy Squad, it's on sale right now, 40% off on Humble Bundle. And if you're looking to win a free code, squadops.gg hosts a free giveaway every month at twitch.tv/squadops. All right, as we look at the U.S., they are now getting settled. Infantry pushing out to those southwestern buildings like we had highlighted before, and as well as building emplacements and sandbags to bolster their defense.
Jesus, the traction sucks.
Taking a look at the U.S. General plan here, we're going to zoom all the way out. You can see both those lodges are pushing to resupply, and Squad 3 and 5 are on the fob direct. 4 off to the southwest, watching that large moat from these buildings. As we highlighted from before, these buildings have a lot of line of sight, give you a lot of coverage on the south and western sides. However, an interesting difference in the U.S. defense this round is that the U.S. has committed 1 full squad, Squad 2 here, to guard the secondary objective, which is the Logi parked at the gas station.
Let's have 2 and 3 go check it out. We'll have 1 and 4 post security at the MTLBs for now. Just want to see how hard Matter's committed to stopping me from taking this vehicle.
As we can see here, all the Russians are now dismounted. They are prepared.
Is it our job to...
And they're going to try to take that Logi.
Some jackass take a shot at a Logi. Yes, guys. Fucking unreal. Alright. Fucking unreal. Alright, they know we're here.
So Russian giving their position away with a last shot.
I didn't hear the explosion. No, he missed the fucking truck. Jesus Christ. Alright. Tell him that he's not shooting unless he has explicit permission from now on. Like, for the lat, just know. He knows now. That was...
And we're pushing in here from the west. They're getting pretty close.
Like, hey, are we going to shoot their lodges if we see them? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but we're not focused on that.
Push close to the Logi truck here.
I guess took it to mean I'm going to fucking free fire.
U.S. is now set up on the eastern side of the objective. Russians pushing in from the west. We'll see if they can grab this objective.
Across the street.
There's going to be quite a firefight at the secondary objective here. That Logi parked underneath that gas station is what the Russians are trying to grab. If they're able to successfully grab that Logi, they will put down a mortar fob and mortar on their assault. So we'll see how effective Best Pony can take this objective. He has 2 MTLBs and the entire platoon committed to this objective, so hopefully he should be able to get this Logi. However, U.S. is already entrenched in positions to watch and cover the Logi, so we'll see what kind of skirmish breaks out at this position.
We got friendlies northeast that scare the crap out of me. Watch out.
Once again, we talked about that noise on those MTLBs. It's a dinner bell. You can hear all the way from the U.S. Location. There is absolutely not a doubt that they hear this this vehicle off to their west. And so as you can see now, U.S. setup in all of these buildings. This is going to be quite a nightmare to push. There's a ungodly amount of windows and angles for the U.S. to cover this this corner from. And we'll see how successfully Russia can take this objective. You see a good spread. We'll zoom all the way out here and get a bigger picture of what's going on. So as you can see, we have the Russians pushing on the western side of the objective. They're set up in the buildings on that white compound in the center of my screen, as well as sending a patrol to that northwest. That infantry squad is at that northwest, right next to the MSR. We also have both the MTLBs. You can see them slowly creeping along the south right here on the bottom side of my screen. And all of the U.S., one full squad, that's squad 2 from the U.S., watching that eastern side. They are really close to those MTLBs. We'll see if MTLBs are engaged by the LATs in those buildings. We'll see how effective those LATs will be against these stationary vehicles within the city. Once again, we'll talk about taking vehicles inside a city. You have a very high chance of getting engaged upon by LATs, especially with the amount of angles you need to cover, the amount of windows, the corners. It's extremely hard to cover with one gunner position. So we'll see if U.S. exploits that and uses those windows and those corners to engage the MTLBs in the city. We'll see how effective they are and if they can disable one. U.S. now setting up to push upon the objective. We can see U.S. wrapping around, or not, excuse me, not U.S., but Russia wrapping all the way around the objective, not just engaging it from the west, but also trying to get on it from the north. And they're checking every building except for the ones that the U.S. is in. U.S. really diligent right now, holding their fire, waiting for the most opportune moment to attack. We can see this Logi in a very difficult way to approach this building. It is extremely open.
Spread it.
Russian comms now have spotted that infantry in the southeast. One player goes down already. That's the first casualty of round 2. Sticking his head out the window. He gets tapped by the Russians, and U.S. positions are now exposed, and Russia knows exactly where to look. So we'll see if they can still maintain control over this open area and go make a break for the Logi.
The fucking corner closest knee. Alright, actually, if it's brain, it can't, unless he's staffed building full of LATs.
Alpha, slowly move up rock to rock, tree to tree.
MTLB now rolling out, trying to secure and get presence on the objective, trying to keep U.S. heads down as they push closer to the Logi.
Grab that Logi and go. We'll cover.
Russians attempting to breach this building. Oh, and he manages to get the guy covering the stairs. That was a LAT kit, I do believe. That's one LAT for the U.S. down. Excuse me, 2 rockets that are now taken out of the game for the U.S. I believe the second LAT soldier is up here in the tower as well. He takes out one player. Yes, this is the second LAT player. So if the Russians can keep this LAT...
It's like one casualty from...
Nope, he gets both. We'll see if he's able to load up his LAT in time. But Russia looks like they're making out with the Logi right now. MTLBs plus infantry covering this maneuver.
Mission success.
They might take one LAT from that rocket up there if he sees them. Doesn't look like it. So 2 casualties while inflicting 2. That's an even break for the Russians, and they retrieve the Logi. That's going to mean that they get mortars while they assault. So big play here for the Russians, managing to get that Logi out, even out in that middle open compound, securing those buildings around it, pushing in, breaching that building, getting a couple players from the U.S., and then pulling their platoon northwestbound. We'll see how effective they will be on their mortars on the assault. Once again, we'll talk about mortars when you're using them to assault. Mortars are extremely lethal when it comes to using them on a fixed target, and a defense is a fixed target. So we'll see if Best Pony's Mortarman is on point with his calculations, and if he's able to inflict massive amounts of casualties on the castle as they set up this fob. Round 1, we didn't see this play. Matter opted to avoid the Logi completely, but Best Pony said, you know what? We're going for that Logi. We're going to take it. We're going to secure the compound, and we're going to set up the mortars. So we'll see how effective this ends up being for him.
Across the street, Alpha.
Have the MTLB hold tight. Everybody
As we can see here, the entire Russian platoon now moving out on foot in the MTLBs as well. He's now, once again, we talked about this before, he's committing the entire platoon to that northern attack. He's going to use the overwhelming fire from his 2 MTLBs, from the mortars, and from his infantry to try to overwhelm that position. And we saw before, if you're with me before, when we were looking at the map, that northern assault is the one with the most cover. So Pony making good, calculated plays right now, taking the Logi, taking that northern assault path. He's making everything he can. He's doing everything he can to make sure that this operation ends in his favor. And it's going to come down to execution of his squad leaders and the aggression of his infantry when it comes to breaching the compound that will make or break this. The Logi and the mortars are a very big play, but once again, you need infantry. Every asset added to the game, every asset in general is made to support the infantry. Everything from aircraft to vehicles to emplacements, everything is used to support the infantry. If you don't have boots in the building, you don't own that building. No matter how many vehicles you have around it, no matter how much you shell with the mortars, you need to get infantry on the point. And Pony is great at using assets like the mortars and the MTLBs to support his infantry as they push. And we're going to see how he executes it very soon here. We're going to take a break and look over at the U.S. defenses here. U.S. has had a lot of time, especially since Russia opted for that Logi. U.S. has had a lot of time to build up their defense. However, the trade-off, like we said before, as Russia grabs that Logi and grabs those mortars, is that the mortar can dismantle sandbags. This mortar is going to be critical in removing the emplacements that the U.S. has put down. Mortars disable sandbags and Heskos with enough rounds. So with enough shelling, Russia will be able to completely dismantle everything that U.S. has built. With accuracy and with relentless fire, Pony stands a very good chance of completely wiping the slate clean with the mortars.
Sorry, you just got a boring job for a bit.
I know. We're having fun out here.
I got Terry telling me he's pretty sure they went north, so we're gonna readjust.
Yeah, that's fine.
Unless they listened.
Both teams now setting up. We're hitting another lull. There's a lot of pacing differences within squad ops. You can see, like, when it gets down to breaching, the pacing's fast. First engagements are usually really quick, but there are moments where you will be having to readjust, maneuver, and evaluate what's going on. And right now we're seeing that second part of Pony's plan, the second part after getting those Logis and repositioning to the north and preparing for that assault. And US right now buckling in. They're pulling off of the Logi position. An interesting play here. I'm catching this off the corner of my eye. An interesting play here. If we look at the map, this is squad 2 from US. Matter has sent this US squad from the west to flank. Matter has decided to set a counter offensive squad off to the west, and we'll see how effective this flanking squad is going to be, especially since the entire Russian team is on the north. If this squad can get in a good enfilade firing position, they will be able to do a great amount of damage as that entire platoon pushes north to south. But we'll see how effective that is, especially if Russia is maintaining their 360 security and keeping eyes on their flanks. That squad is not going to be able to do too much damage.
One run. That way you just have an extra
Pony now getting his mortar set up on the far north here. You can see him dropping that fob, dropping the mortar pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000.
I'm only gonna get unless actually once we get it up and I get firing. Once we get it up and I get firing, I think I'll want one more run. But since 4 is gonna leave 2 people with me for security, like that's fine.
You'll send one of them.
Yeah, just cross.
I'm gonna pull my gun.
Yeah.
I got you guys want him somewhere.
So we'll see what happens. Russia now getting his whole platoon out here.
Yeah, I'd say mess the infantry.
Pony's getting the fob up. He says, "Yep, let's get these guys online. Let's get ready for the assault as the mortar starts getting built." He's gonna get his entire platoon online over here. If US has eyes on this maneuver, this could be very deadly. Russians are out in the middle of nowhere, and I think I heard a mortar come out. That's exactly what I was talking about. If Russia got spotted and if they get sighted for mortars, this is a very bad place to be. There's no overhead cover, and everyone in the platoon is now stacked next to each other. So we'll see if that mortar was actually fired over here. which I think it was.
Just got contact.
Oh, that flanking squad spotted by the MTLB on the south. He shoots a squirt over there, deterring that push. But we see the entire Russian platoon here now skirting the north side of the map.
Lat shot?
Lat's going out. Tags the MTLB over here.
Actually. He was covering our rear. He's coming out. Copy.
And he does. That MTLB did manage to drop that Lat soldier. Second Lat goes out, connects. This MTLB might pop here momentarily. This MTLB very well might pop from 2 Lat shots.
Maybe go down. Yeah, maybe he did take a second.
Fire goes out. It looks like he's gonna survive.
Alright, if he survives.
But that MTLB is now extremely low on HP.
Ordering.
Copy. 3, you're a little more west, aren't you? Or is it? Who's the most west?
Come again?
So as we hit that lull here, we'll take a look at the overview of the strategy. We can see that platoon line forming for the Russians on the north here. 1-4-2 from right to left. And the majority of the U.S. squad is now stacked inside of the compound. We still have that squad on the southwest with those 3 buildings that we talked about before with that elevation, making sure that they don't get flanked from the south or the west. But we'll see if any Russians even make it over here. It looks like Pony is committing to that north. So this squad might need to reposition. We still have that flanking squad on the far west. We'll see how far they go. They have a lot of ground to cover on foot.
That's their main protection. They may just keep bumping into a wall.
We see that platoon line now getting spread out all the way from the east to west. MTLB is integrated in the center of the formation for fire support, and we'll see when the call to push comes. Mortars are now set, and he's prepping this little mortar fire base he's got here. And we'll see how we go.
It's looking like they're going to be positioning to the north. So for right
Both
now,
teams kind of staging off.
Holding spot.
Audio MTLB north. Fine, we're just waiting for your command to do something different.
Audio MTLB north, heard it.
Squad 2 still trying to track and find this MTLB on the north.
MTLB north to you? MTLB audible north. Jesus Christ.
Is MTLB having trouble trying to figure out where to go? As it is getting pretty cornered back here. We can take a look at the health here. It is running really low. If it so much gets sneezed on, it's pretty much going to explode.
Copied it. Fantastic.
But yeah, the Russians have a nice platoon line set up, and we're standing by for the order to push.
Copy.
Mortar rounds for Russia go out from the fire base. We'll see where these land.
Shots out.
Now, in my opinion, these mortar rounds are going to be fired extremely preemptively. They're on target, but there's not real much that those are going to do. He's going to be wasting rounds. His infantry is too far to act on this. And I think he's just wasting mortar rounds at this point.
And have that damaged MTLB just hang out here with me. Copy, he's hanging out there for now.
Because he's going to run out of rounds way before his infantry gets within engagement range.
I mean, I knew this
But
was
he
gonna
is shelling the
happen, so I was
compound.
hoping he would get into position faster.
But his infantry is still about 500 meters out. So this is an awkward call from Pony, deciding to use mortar rounds before his infantry is within the ability to push. I think he jumped the gun just a little bit, but we'll see if it actually works in his favor.
No, they only get one lodge run, I believe.
But yeah, he's chewing through mortar rounds right now, and there's no real reason to be firing these right now, especially with limited rounds. Even if he destroys some of the sandbags at this distance, his infantry is too far to push that. US would probably just push out and reshovel those up. So this is a really, really interesting decision here by Pony. He is getting rid of some of the sandbags here. But that's just about all he's going to do. His infantry is still about 2 minutes away on foot.
2, I need you to get the gas on when you can.
I'm gonna start digging our shit back up.
Careful, more's incoming, more's incoming.
Mortar's still coming in. I actually almost get 1 soldier here. But aside from that, not much doing.
Too slowing their pace a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting strung out here.
Yeah, we're slowing our pace a little bit. We're clearing buildings.
And we're seeing that execution kind of faltering. Russian gang spread a little bit thin. Mortars landing a little bit too early.
Yeah, this village is gonna be.
He's only got about 30 rounds in that mortar tube, and he spent maybe 15 already.
Nasty.
This building right here to the south, and then we're moving south.
Once you have the fob, let me know if these are effective or not.
Russians are closing in here. Still not much movement.
Stormfront and Quack, start moving southeast to clear the first building in that direction. Actually.
And as we said before, that flanking squad sent on the far west. I don't think Pony expects this infantry push from his west. There's a full squad over here hunting down these mortars. However, there's nothing but open ground here, so that MTLB might be enough to deter this north. We'll see. We'll see. You can see those. You can see there's absolutely nothing out here but open ground. We got that 1 damaged MTLB sitting up here to cover, but he's on the wrong side of the hill to cover this. They're going to be able to get right on top of this mortar fob before he can engage.
It's taking us a while to go through these buildings. You might want to halt the line.
Yeah, I'll feel it. Start moving.
Back. Sounds like the lodges are closed.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here. U.S. and Russians now within engagement range. They're at 300 meters. They will have eyes on each other momentarily here. We can see that movement and shift. U.S. has spotted infantry to the north. You can see that call goes out from the U.S. and Matter reacting sends that squad on the southwest and pushes them off the flank as well. So we can see a lot of a different change in the U.S. defense here. Matter playing a very reactive and aggressive defense, pushing out past the fob and ensuring that he is flanking squads to deal with the incoming threats. Whereas Pony, when he was on U.S. defense, bottled up into the compound and locked down the doors. So we'll see how these 2 different strategies will hold up as they go head-to-head here in a second.
And attack from the west. Is that okay?
That's fine. Just be careful.
Thank you. Sure.
We're going to have 2 things happen here simultaneously in about 5 minutes. That mortar fob's going to get hit, and then this squad on the north is going to get hit by the U.S. squad on the west.
Complete 1, stand by for splash.
Guys on the castle from up here if you want to move up here.
Mortars, once again, not doing much, and his infantry cannot follow up.
We had a hand grenade go off over here.
XF did catch a little shrapnel, but he should be mediced up back to full health. There's not enough pressure to follow up on those mortars right now. Any damage that he does will be undone by the medics and the shovels.
Yeah, we're taking a little bit of return fire here in the middle.
Splash is good. You're hitting the central castle.
Oh, I'm hitting the tower?
Recover. Next.
Like
next.
Alright, I'll cover her.
Good
I don't see any heads.
in the courtyard on the north side.
Yeah, I see one.
Alright, I'm going.
Go next.
Mortars are good.
On the far west, you can see North American and Russian forces within 50 meters of each other, engaging right now, close quarters in the alleys. couple of casualties on both sides. We can see engagements in this western side of the town. This didn't happen in the first round. We can see those alleys really coming into play. This CQB contact is going to be tying up this western squad for the Russian for quite a while. We're going to see if they're going to be able to push.
Contact west. Contact west of the FOB.
And that mortar fob also now getting hit. Like I said before, like we predicted, that mortar fob and that south fob and that south squad is going to get engaged on at the same time. We're going to be able to see here if this north squad takes out the mortar fob, because they could do some really bad damage to these guys. But we'll see if they take the MTLB, and if they push it around the corner, they could catch these guys with their pants down. There is not enough lat up here. And the U.S. squad, seeing that, knowing that the MTLB is there, knowing that they don't have any light anti-tank capabilities, they are going to be pushing off to the west. They're going to see that MTLB and just nope the fuck right out of there, because they cannot handle the armor. Oh, he might actually be hunting them down right now.
Enemies to the west of the castle.
This MTLB pushing up. He's going to try to hunt down these Americans.
Are they shooting at you from across, or are they all?
They're not shooting at us.
They're shooting across, or are they all mortared?
They're not shooting at us.
They're shooting. I'm taking fire, and I've got eyes on contact. Fox 3-2-2. A couple of mortars.
This northern squad from US has zero light anti-tank capabilities. This entire squad is completely vulnerable and now stuck in this compound on the north. They completely just, the momentum completely swaps. They saw that MTLB and they just had to nope the fuck right out of there. They're now stuck all the way up here in the north, and this one MTLB will pin a 8-man squad in the north. So we're gonna leave that and let that MTLB keep those guys pinned. I don't foresee too much happening up there. The US squad is not gonna move, and that MTLB can't get in the compound. He's gonna try to suppress and wallbang, but there's not much that he can do. On this western side, like we said before, these close engagements, the Russians actually taking advantage of the buildings. We now see them shooting down into the valley. They have superior positioning right now. We can see US taking a lot of casualties in this little ravine here as the Russians exploit those windows on the 3rd floor. So we'll see how much more damage, but Russia really catching US out of position, and we can see that counter reactive playstyle that Matter is going for is really not working out too well for him right now. Both of his flanking squads caught in really bad positions, caught in engagements that they cannot necessarily win. Frags coming out from those buildings. You can see why elevation really is important, because those frags get thrown from the building, and it's really hard to throw frags back up. This U.S. squad now in the lower ground, pinned by that western squad. Northern squads on the north are pushing in. Mortars landing. Now these mortars are close enough to do enough damage. As we can see maneuvers coming in from the north, that pressure takes out 3 U.S. players. We talked about spacing before. Spacing will bite you in the ass if you do not space out for explosives. That could cause some major casualties and power swings within a match. We see that same exact assault kind of plan happening right now. We talked about this northern terrain and the eastern terrain before. Those northern rocks allow Russia to go toe-to-toe with infantry on the parapets. That eastern defilade and that eastern cliff allows a Russian squad to get in close, breaking line of sight. So we'll see that kind of generic assault on the castle. However, Tony did throw in mortars. He's thrown in this large platoon line, and that's allowing him to also assault the west side of the compound with this infantry squad now pushing the west. We're going to see how much pressure these guys can push over here on the west. We see a 3-pronged attack essentially happening now from the north, east, and west of the objective.
All the smoke's out.
Mortar's coming in. Another fire mission is coming in, and this is the perfect time to mortar. This is the perfect point and time to mortar the point. When you have pressure from the infantry, and now you have the additional threat of mortars, you can really force Americans to think in a very chaotic way. They're going to panic a little bit, especially dealing with multiple problems at once. If you feed problems one at a time, and that pressure one at a time to another player, you give them the time to digest that information and to deal with it one by one. But if you hit them multiple sides, multiple angles, multiple assets, you can really put that pressure on them and kind of use that chaos to find a breach point. We're going to see right now if US can push, or if US senses this push on the southeast. But we'll see.
Alright,
rockets going out, smoke's going out. HMG's trading fire. We do have an HMG pit on the northwestern side of the compound here. It's going to be pretty much near impossible for Russia to breach this point, especially with that barbed wire impairing the movement of that angle.
Mortars out on courtyard.
Mortars out again. We'll see how effective these are. There are a couple of Americans here caught in the open. We'll see how effective these mortar rounds land. We see a couple of them running now for indirect fire bunkers. And mortars inbound. These are landing in the courtyard this time. No kills on those mortars, but you can really see if you mix in infantry with mortars, you can create a lot more pressure than just infantry by itself or mortars by itself. We talked about that northern hill once again, keeping toe-to-toe and suppressing this northern side of the bunker. They can really go toe-to-toe. The cover and the viewpoints are just almost identical to the parapets up here, if not more cover for the northern Russian squad.
They've got mortars going in.
Russia now using this side of the castle to break line of sight and try to find another breaching point.
Stormfront, let's go.
But Russia's still trying to find a way to breach.
Frag going out.
They just missed 2 last shots on the outside.
More mortars coming in. Actually gets a player right here in the center. Gets 2 players. Good mortars right here. We can see now that Russia is adding on the pressure with the mortars and the infantry. If you throw in mortars, you throw in infantry, it really limits the amount of places that America can be. And right now, America's struggling to find cover from infantry and from the mortars. They have to cover the doors, but they have to be mindful that the mortars are landing in the open. So it really limits the ability for you to defend if you're not being able to stand where you want to stand. Pressure is all about taking away what your opponent can do and making them fight in weird adverse situations. And right now, Pony is doing that with this infantry push on the east, infantry push on the west, and mortars landing inside the compound, really putting on that pressure and stopping America's troops from being where they need to be to watch the entrances. More mortars coming in. We'll see how effective these will land. But right now, he's got the majority of the U.S. stuck inside the compounds.
Vastol, I need to
and
watch
incoming rounds are going to clear this again. These rounds not so effective. Hitting the tower directly.
Our round's complete. Yep. I'm gonna mortar.
And we're down to the breach here now.
Key 8, micro key 4. So around the corner from you.
Shadow tosses smoke in the courtyard.
You can see, just like before, they're using smokes to break that line of sight. Smokes and frags, important for breaching. Break that line of sight so you can push. Frags take out enemies hiding behind cover, watching that entry point. More mortar rounds coming in. And you can see, this U.S. soldier really wants to hold this angle. But because of the mortars, he cannot. And as that happens, as that pressure is relieved, Russia gets an opportunity to push. You can see how those two complement each other extremely well. U.S. cannot watch those entrances efficiently with the mortar rounds landing.
Watch out, slash to your left.
Russia now taking the compound one by one.
Pretty fucking accurate. Yeah, I'm gonna dump the rest of an F476 right in the courtyard.
2, what's your status?
Actually, scratch that.
Russia now looking very good, have the numbers and have the firepower to take the fob. MTLB gets hit by a squad flanking on the north. But America is now really out of position with squads outside the compound. Russia has an opportunity now to take the compound, hardpoint in the compound, and then face out and look for the Americans returning to the base. More mortar rounds landing soon. We'll see if these are able to snag anybody.
Ooh, yeah, there's
very close, but no cigar.
The top side's getting pushed.
And Russia now has control over the upper part of the compound.
Medic, Rose.
Matter, command for the U.S. taking shots. He is now bandaging. Lots of mortar rounds coming in still. This will be the last fire mission, and Russia now looking very strong on the point, pushing in. However, if they look to their north, there's an entire U.S. squad that will be pushing in from their north on their previous position. So whether or not they're aware of that, could be an extremely important decision. No one's watching the stairs. You gotta make sure you're watching those entry points. A Russian squad leader goes down. That's gonna be some presence loss for the Russians. And we're seeing an interesting thing happen here. U.S. is now using those rocks in the north to repel this upper defense, and we'll see if Russia can hold on here. They're getting counter-fragged, and they're taking fire from the north. This northern squad from Russia might get pinned on the upper part of the compound, and all pressure might be lost. However, there's a squad already working on that south entry point, and they're making good progress taking out the defenders over here. One lat comes out. You gotta watch your spacing. That could have been tragic for Russia. That's a full fire team that nearly got taken out by a lat shot. You gotta maintain your spacing. Spacing. All the time. You cannot lax on your spacing. That could have been absolutely tragic. U.S. now taking on those northern hills. You can see how effective that fire is from those northern hills. They have superior cover, and they have just enough elevation to go toe-to-toe with these guys up here.
Yeah, let me try. Don't die, though. It's in the southeast corner up there.
Watching your spacing, guys.
But Russia doing a good job keeping these infantry off.
Always remember spacing. You don't want to die from the same grenade.
And they're continuing to keep the pressure up, using both teams using the opposites assets against them. U.S. using those northern rocks, and the Russians now using the sandbags against the Americans.
Smoke southeast.
This is full coming in from the
Smoke's coming in. It looks like they're going to try to breach on the south.
And we've got guys on the fob right now.
Roger that.
You can see now how effective smokes are. They can't see this open ground. You can't shoot what you can't see. And they're going to try to push in here. And Russians making good progress using the U.S.'s own defense against them. U.S. command goes down. That's going to be a lot of confusion.
We're clearing them out. It's slow work, but it's happening.
And we're dwindling down here to the last few remaining defenders within the compound. Yeah.
This might be the new meta of this. This was pretty effective so far. Let's get this fob.
There's maybe 4 United States Army left in the compound. Russia using all the angles, using the hills, using the parapets, and coming in from different angles.
Doing a little light recon in this vehicle.
Oh, there's a flank coming in over here on the south. We're looking at spacing here. Gotta maintain that spacing. That you're all within 1 grenade range. And Russia is just slowly dismantling U.S. defense. These forces over here are taking some shots. I think Russian command just went down. Best pony now down and out for the count. Both commands for both teams are now down. It's going to come down to infantry and squad leaders to finish the job here. U.S. is so out of position. We still have a squad all the way to the north as we see on our map. Squad 2 is still pinned out there because that MTLB kept that entire squad pinned. They are way far out of position. And then Russia is now in the compound, mopping up the remaining U.S. troops. I think there's only 2 in here. We might be clearing the compound. It does look like Russia managed to completely clear the compound. They have almost gotten the fob now. The fob is half built, as you can see right here. And all Russia has to do now is hold this compound from U.S. attacking on the east and north.
Let's get a buddy team on these north stairs. Let's finish clearing out the west. We've got control of this eastern area. Let's just not lose it. Get snuck up on. That's really our biggest concern now, I think, is just getting snuck up on.
There's a single U.S. soldier in the south compound. He might get spotted right here in a second, though.
How you looking, Warnie?
Or not. Someone has some connection issues. That was lag right there. But that player still goes down.
I have an MTLB moving to cover that eastern flank.
And Russia now has complete uncontested control over the objective.
Area is not clear yet, is it? Right by Morningstar?
It's not yet.
MTLB coming down from the north. We'll see if U.S. has any remaining lat to deal with this.
Expecting a counterattack now.
They might. Is this a lat? No. Is this a lat? No, that's a saw.
No, the outside stairs.
So this one MTLB, remember, this is the MTLB that is extremely low. If it so much gets tapped once, it's going to explode. But yeah, there the call goes out. U.S. must attempt to recapture castle. Russia has completed their primary objective and their secondary objective. Now it comes down to seeing how many casualties they will hold the castle with.
Yeah, let's just dig that shit back up. Make them have to work for
Russia even going so far as to rebuild the defenses that the U.S. had in place and use them against them.
Squad 1 is watching the north.
Copy.
We can see Matter's decision to send 2 flanking squads really did not work out in his favor. Instead, getting 2 squads caught out in the open and delayed on the outside of the map. And Pony using the mortars a little preemptively, but in the end, those follow-up rounds were on target and on time and dealt massive damage to allow the Russians to breach the compound.
Radios on the east, there's one enemy still north on the rocks.
And now we're pretty much dwindling down here to the end of the operation. There are a couple infantry left on either side, but Russia does have control over the primary objective. And we'll see if U.S. can retake it, even though they are caught extremely out of position.
Alright, we're going to complete the objective and then wait for counterattack.
Hey, firm.
This one lone soldier trying to find a way in on the south. And that the remnants of Squad 2 in the north are finally finally booking it over here. It looks like U.S. is waiting for the remainder of their team before they make a move.
I'm good. Good. Fob was taking contact, so it's probably stragglers pushing in from that direction.
It's getting real quiet here as U.S. waits for the remainder of their forces to push.
Yeah, I assume most contact's gonna come from the north. They probably sense a flank out.
That's all I've been doing.
But it does look like Russia's going to come out of here with a win. There's maybe 6 U.S. soldiers remaining and a good 10 Russians.
Yeah, I think it was real effective.
What's my healing area now? 39 heals. No one else has anything here.
We'll see if this MTLB is actually...
Does the MTLB have eyes on the east wall? Should we still be watching it?
sees anything. Or hears anything. No. These 2 infantrymen from the U.S. are going to be walking up right on it. I don't think there's a lat kit here, though. No, there's not. Just a squad leader and a simple rifleman.
3, do you have that south side covered, or do you want me to move my guys over?
Sucks we got hit with those.
What was that?
It's just me, so I'm on that roof, so,
do you want some help down there, or are you good?
There's nothing here so far.
Okay.
I'll rotate my binoculars down there, since we're the only 2 with binoculars now, right?
Yeah, I have a medic alive.
I'll be
Yeah, I have a medic alive in my squad, so if anybody needs it, just make your way to him.
Wow, they're really having a hegemon.
You think he's in that bunker there?
He might be, yeah.
I'm gonna go clear that northern bunker.
I'll try and take
No, we've got defender's advantage on us.
It was 5 minutes ago.
Hey, there's enemies behind the MTLB. Rocks behind the MTLB. Tell the MTLB to turn around. They're behind it. Scanning now.
Yeah, behind the rock somewhere.
Yeah, he's behind the rock.
Big boy agree.
Wait, you have a frag round?
I don't.
I'll hold stairs. Stairs.
One guy, northeast.
Pushing south, one close to the south.
That red, white, and blue smoke for America.
I just nailed one.
There's a few of them. There's like
There's one U.S. soldier in the compound. Russia is not maintaining 360-degree security.
Can you see they're pushed towards the west bridge?
They're on our south. They've entered our south R4.
Shadow calls out. He sees
4
him.
or 5 tops, I'd say.
Is there one behind it?
Yeah, there's one on our south.
And let's see if Russia can mop this up.
It's the luckiest op ever right now.
Alright, go get them. Go find the medic.
Friendly coming up.
Alright, we've got one still on the south as far as I can tell. Maybe one on the north.
Is he inside the building?
He is inside the building, our floor, right near Morning Star. And let's swim back down. He used the ladder from the roof to get up to the second floor, if that makes sense.
Oh, he gets one.
No, he's still here, He's in the big... He's up top. This guy is up top. He's up top.
Ooh, nearly gets picked off right there, and he's gonna get rushed around the corner. Oh, he sees the barrel. He sees the barrel. Oh, he saw the barrel.
I'll be coming up the ladder. Down.
Trading shots right now.
He's right here. He's right here against the castle. Right here against the
Is
castle.
he getting flanked? Kind of. He's gonna opt to back off, I think.
Negative.
It's a really rough angle to push. He's gonna get flanked by that squad leader on the south. Oh. He snuck in.
Is he in that little...
He gets Shadow Ritual. He's got to be bleeding. No, he's not bleeding. Oh my God, this guy's a machine!
High feature.
He's gonna get flanked right here.
Overhead cover.
And that should be it. I think that's it. That's GG. Russia maintains primary objective, secondary objective, and holds the compound with forces remaining. All right, and that's it for SquadOps.gg round 2. We're going to have an interview with a couple of the players from the previous rounds. We're going to bring them in here in a second. And, yeah, we're going to have this a fast post-game interview with CMYK Matter, the command for one of the teams. So, Matter, how'd that go?
You know, our first round went really well. I was hoping
Your first
that
one went really well, actually. Went extremely well.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. The second round was a little rough, mostly because I was hoping that our LAT team that we had sent out to the west would take care of the MTLBs before they actually made any sort of impact. And then I was hoping these other squad too would be able to maneuver on the mortar fob location and take it out quicker than they did, unfortunately.
Oh, that was
happened.
hilarious. I gotta say, so I was counting lats that entire time, and that team you sent to the northwest lost one lat, and then the second lat was black on ammo. So as soon as they perched over that hill and they saw that MTLV, they turned right the fuck around and went right back where they came from. They were like, we can't kill this, and they just turned right around. That was
all
hilarious.
according to plan.
But
right.
Yeah, round one, Matter, you had a great amount of pressure there with the smokes and the grenades. The breaching was absolutely phenomenal. Using that smoke to break line of sight and using those frag grenades. If you can really see how if you don't pay attention to battle spacing on defense or even on offense, you can have massive power swings with good grenades.
Yep.
And
I saw one grenade take out 4 defenders at one point.
It was amazing. It gave you
ridiculous.
complete control over that north. That was or over the upper part of the compound, and that was absolutely amazing. As far as round 2, I thought that strategy of sending those flanking squads could have worked so well. It was just a couple key things. A couple squads got caught out of position, and then the lat was just not there to handle the MTLB. If you had lat, that whole northern fob would have been gone. But it was absolutely awesome to see that aggression come out from a defending commander, and that was awesome to watch as well. Pony, round 1, I did like how you played a much safer kind of consolidated defense. I'm so glad we got to see 2 kinds of playstyles on round 1 and round 2 of the op. I saw that more consolidated defense, and that was definitely textbook and by the book, and that was a solid defense. You just had a couple unfortunate spacing issues and unfortunate power swings throughout that defense that let the Russians in. However, on round 2, Pony, those mortars, I gotta say, I was a little concerned with those first few rounds because they were so far ahead of your infantry, but those follow-up rounds were devastating, and you could see the combination of infantry pressure and mortar pressure really limiting the Americans to what they could
it was
see
rough
and
to
what
sit
they
there.
could do.
It was really rough to sit there.
I saw the mortars come in, everyone runs into cover, Russians push in. Mortars stop, Americans come back out, mortars come back in, Americans gotta run back into cover. So there's a lot of hot water, cold water stuff going on there, but that was really awesome to see. Pony, what did you taking that Logi truck, I like how you took your time and you secured those buildings around. What do you think was the most pivotal part of taking that offensive in round 2?
I'd say the most pivotal part was honestly right at the start when Merrick called out the building the enemy lats were in, because if we hadn't immediately seen them and I hadn't killed one and then the guys went and breached it and we were able to provide enough distraction to get that Logi out of there, that offensive relied entirely on the mortars. That the mortars ended up getting, I think, 7 kills or something like that. If I didn't have those mortars, Matter probably would have held that fob because there were only about 7 or 8 people.
Yeah, that was beautiful mortar work. You did great, Pony. That was a great assault. I loved it.
So I'd say right there at the beginning, taking that Logi was the key. That thing is very powerful if you can get to it, which so far only 2 teams have.
Yeah, it was extremely awesome to watch. Both of you had excellent plans, both round 1 and round 2, and it just came to, things that fall outside of your control. And that happens a lot in squad ops, things that happen to your plan that you can't control. Either you get spotted at a really bad time, you don't have the correct assets for a certain time, or just shit goes wrong and you can't do anything about it, and it's all about adjusting after that. But you guys did both round 1, round 2, both you coming out of here with 1 win each, and that was awesome to see. We'll be back with session 2 in about 3 hours, so 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back with round 2 or session 2. Thank you so much, Matter, and so much Pony, for putting on a great show for us. Great command work, great strategies, and just amazing games all around. Thank you so much.
Glad to do it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. For everyone watching the stream, thank you for watching. This is SquadOps.gg, Operation Rook. If you'd like to learn more about our events or our training or our videos, youtube.com/SquadOps, twitch.tv/SquadOps, and check out SquadOps.gg for information regarding our platform as a whole. A reminder that Squad is on sale for 40% off on humblebundle.com. And if you're looking to win a copy of Squad, SquadOps gives away 1 key of Squad every month at twitch.tv/SquadOps. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Karmakut, the founder and director of SquadOps. I'm joined by Penn, our mixer behind the scenes. He does the amazing camera work. Thank you to Pony and to Matter for putting on a great show for us as commands. And we'll see you all in the next session in 2 hours and 45 minutes exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is SquadOps signing off.